I talked to you last meeting about the idea of revisiting our Coeur d'Alene 2020 visioning program. That was a process that was done by citizens and the city back around 2000-2001 time period. And they came up with visions, values, and goals. And it represented the community's thoughts and ideas, visions for arts and culture, downtown vitality, economic development, education, healthcare, infrastructure, Lake Coeur d'Alene neighborhoods, planning, public safety, recreation, and transportation. And, you know, we've been doing math here tonight, and we are now a good 10, 11, 12 years down the road from that. The world has changed significantly from that time period. And I was recently in Bend, Oregon, and Bend is a town, and forgive me, I'm repeating some of this for folks who maybe didn't hear it last meeting. Bend's a town of about 80,000 people in eastern Oregon, about twice the size of Coeur d'Alene, but very similar. A lot of outdoor activities, they're on a river, a lot of young people going there, a lot of people moving there, a lot of older people moving there because it's a beautiful place to retire and live, and the community has changed a lot. They've grown rapidly, like Coeur d'Alene, and they've gone into a recession like Coeur d'Alene, and they're at a point where they're sorting out their own 2030 program. And when I was there, it seemed like they had some good things going on, and it just seemed like a kind of happening place. And so I asked one of their council members what was going on there, and they said they'd gone through an update of this Bend visioning program, and they described the process and the person that they used to go through this process. And it seemed to me as something that we might want to look at. And so what I'm bringing to you tonight is coming back to bring you the proposal to actually hire the consultant that Bend used, Stephen Ames, to come to Coeur d'Alene and put on a workshop, make a presentation to council, do some research, meet with people, as many people as we can get, to get a roadmap, beginning a preliminary map for how Coeur d'Alene would update or redo their vision for the future. Well, let me step back and just mention a little bit what is visioning, and I think it is an opportunity or a process for the community to come together and figure out what's their shared vision for the future. Some of the characteristics that are important, I've got up here on the board, are understanding the whole community, reflecting core community values, addressing emerging trends and issues, envisioning a preferred future, and promoting local action. And Stephen Ames, the person behind this process, emphasizes that public involvement is essential. And it's not just public involvement by the usual suspects or the usual people who step up in the community. It's public involvement by as many people as can possibly be engaged. And that's essential to be inclusive and then have a broad public consensus. If we go through this process, we're not going to get everybody to agree on everything. But I think there will be broad consensus about the things that are important to the people who care about Coeur d'Alene. And we'll find out what those are and what the priorities are for people. Find out what the key community goals are. The benefits of visioning or going through this process are numerous. I think one of them that I think would have great potential here is bringing members of the community together. I think we saw an example of that the other night with the school board. There was a great resistance from certain people to actually get us to meet together. We met, and it was, as Woody might say, a beautiful experience. It was a good experience. I think everybody who came out of there felt like it was productive, successful, and efficient. So I think there's the opportunity to bring members of the community that may be polarized together to talk about common interests, common goals, common grounds, and explore new ideas. One of the Bend experience is, you know, we have the great minds, the great thinkers, the people who are involved in the community coming up with the ideas, here's what we see for the future. they had a number of ideas just come out of the community that nobody had really thought about. And this gave an opportunity for those ideas to be developed, fleshed out, rolled around and decide, is this a priority? Is this something we want to pursue? I think, again, by involving a lot of people, you get a shared sense of direction, and you find out where people want to go. And then if you have the majority or the most of the people want to go there, then you can start working on how do we get to that point. And so it's a shared, common direction. And then one of the things that I think Mr. Ames, in talking to him, emphasizes is that it's a process for results. A lot of communities do the plans, do a visioning project, and then they, for whatever reason, set it on the shelf, pat themselves on the back, and go on and just go about their life. What he emphasizes, and one of the reasons Bend was successful, was they have action plans, detailed action plans. So if our goal is to grow jobs in this community, and it's going to grow them in aerospace industry, we're going to promote NIC's aerospace program, and we're going to get, and I'm just making this up, 150 kids enrolled in that program by 2015. And by 2016, it's going to result in another 200 jobs at our airport. They get into a level of detail, the community does, and they decide, do we support that? Or do they say, no, we'd really like to put our emphasis and our money into an event center, or we'd like to put it into a museum, or we'd like to put it into, who knows what the community will come up with. The action plan and carrying it through is important. And then finally, under the other benefits, just going through the process, just inviting the community, getting them involved in these multiple meetings. And it's not just meetings. We now have the technology, as Christina showed with Facebook and some of these other things, to really accurately poll, engage, and engage citizens, find out what they want to do, what's important to them. What's important to the people in Coeur d'Alene Place, what's important to the people on East Sherman, what's important to the Fort Ground. Just everybody, get them engaged. The process that Mr. Ames uses, it's very, you have a steering committee, but then you have a larger committee that's purposely, I think they nominate people in the way Ben did it, so that every demographic, every area, every type person is represented and given an opportunity to participate. That's what makes us strong, and at the end of the day, as we saw maybe with the school board, once you sit down with people and start talking about what you have in common, a lot of the things that you have that separate you, go the other way. So I wanted to show you briefly.
Bend 2030, an important forum for new ideas on our future, has completed a series of workshops as part of its Accelerate Bend program. Take a look.
There's really been a renewed interest in Bend 2030 and the vision for where the city's going. The Accelerate Bend process has re-engaged our community in a new way.
Well, I think the good thing about Bend 2030 and the Accelerate Bend process, which we're winding up now, is that it has brought people back together.
There's been a send-off of the Accelerate Bend program that has, in fact, accelerated the involvement of the community.
The Accelerate project has allowed us to reinvigorate and involve even more people. And it's not just the city of Bend, but it's all the other government entities, the nonprofits and the businesses themselves that are all getting involved and are all saying that a vision for Bend is important, and that we need to continue to put the vision in front of people and to look for those projects that are really making Bend that special place to live.
There was a concern when Bend 2030 got underway years ago that it might not actually be successful. It has been, and the community has shown an interest throughout this process, and it's exciting to see them re-engage through Accelerate Bend. The success of the Accelerate Bend kickoff event led to a great involvement in 6 workshops, one for each focus area of the vision.
Folks committed 4 hours in an evening to come and talk about the 3 to 8 different projects that were on the list for a specific focus area, and allowed us to do a better job of, again, honing down and finding out what are the projects that people are most excited about and really think will help accelerate the Bend 2030 vision.
It was an opportunity to take this excitement and this vision and make it real. You sat in a room with 40, 50 other people, and everybody got their ideas down. The facilitators were phenomenal, and you really coalesced all those ideas. So I felt as a participant, and the reason that I went to 3 of them, I really felt like my voice really was being heard, and something was going to happen out of this.
The quality of environment workshops brought to a head many different projects, one of which was the Deschutes River project, which focuses on the enhancement of the river, which is so vital to our economy, our ecology, and our identity as a community.
Some of the accelerator projects were recommended by the board, but the exciting thing was that at both the Tower Theater and in the workshops, people added to those.
The outgrowth of the workshops was 21 items rose to the surface, and highlighting 3 of those top projects was something that the Bend 2030 board wanted to do. It was important that we had something from the environment, something from infrastructure with the city, and something that creates social connections.
I think that this process that we've gone through right now with the Accelerate Bend has helped galvanize people into a reminder of what Bend 2030 is about, and will help us move forward with more enthusiasm and more participation than ever.
We really want new people to get involved in this. They can go to bend2030.org and learn a lot from the website and sign up to volunteer.
So if we go forward, the timeline would be, and some of this is driven by Mr. Ames' schedule, we'd bring him back at the next council meeting on the 5th. Between now and then, we'd put in a lot of time to contact citizens and entities to bring them to focus on that week for preliminary meetings, make a presentation to you, and then Wednesday and Thursday, the 6th and 7th, we'd meet with staff, citizens, and community groups. And then February and March, we'd be working on, okay, is everybody jazzed about this? Do we want to go forward? Is this something we want to do as a community? And start formulating the groups, working with Mr. Ames' guidance. And then just anticipate April through September, working on the focus groups, collecting the information, processing it, getting it back, and working on that. Then beyond that, it becomes developing action plans, which can actually take some time to get into the real nuts and bolts of, okay, how do we achieve these goals, and what's the deadlines or timelines for that. You know, really, as I've thought through this, the only question that anybody has to answer yes to be a part of this is, do you care about Coeur d'Alene? If you care about Coeur d'Alene, come on in, come on down, and get involved. So if you need more information, if anybody out there, I'll leave this slide up there because hopefully we'll get a bunch of people calling in or emailing us to express some interest. But we'll be out doing outreach, trying to identify people in the community who care about Coeur d'Alene and want to get involved.